everyone. Welcome. We're starting it.
Yeah.
This is it. I've never done this before. Have you done this before?
I have not. I'm used to kind of hiding behind the camera lens, but
Yeah, well, welcome to Coffee Connections Podcast. We're going to call this The Morning Brew. Having a monthly podcast. Get a little bit into it. But you were talking about a little bit behind the camera. We need to recognize the person behind the camera.
yes, behind the camera we have our techie and a good friend of mine since high school, Mr. Tariq Amara.
Come in, say hi to the digital world. There we go.
What's up, digital world?
This is
I always wanted to do this.
Yeah, there we go.
He is our go-to techie for behind the camera and helping make sure everything runs smoothly. You can't see any of it for good reason, but he's the one that helped figure out how to make this not echoey. Which
is a lot of barriers around here within this thing. But so the Coffee Connection Podcast, Morning Brew, something I've wanted to do for a while. And so I'm so glad when we hired Kyler on, I was sharing the idea. He was like, "Oh, I could totally do that. I got a friend who could do it too." I was like, "Perfect, let's do this." And so the point of this podcast is to kind of inform you guys about what's going on, not just within Coffee Connections, but also within the city as well, because we want to build community.
Did we skip our introduction? We should probably do that before we get too far into it.
Okay, you want to just stop and do the introduction?
I mean, we can just say our names.
Yeah, I don't want to say. They know who I am, and they just know who you are. I'm Nate.
I'm Kyler.
And that's Tar.
There we go.
There we go. Introduction's done. Okay, fantastic. So we want to create community within Coffee Connections because we're all about the people, and we want to be able to connect people with different people that's going on within the city and within our lives. And so as this thing progresses, we're going to share updates of what's going on in the coming months. We want to share what we're doing with coffee and different things we're experimenting with, some things we want to add value to the community. And then I also want to bring in what I love doing a lot, is interacting with a lot of people. Yeah. And I want to bring them here, sit them next to us, ask them some questions. Some people like my friend Tim, who does the coffee roasting, maybe some city people would be great, some police officers, some artists, some musicians that you're in touch with. Yeah,
musicians we could find. For those who don't know, here in Hilliard, we have a little concert series during the summer, so if we could even get musicians for that who have played there.
Yeah.
All kinds of stuff. Just in this area, anything and everything we can do to kind of open up people to realize this isn't as small and quiet as a town as most would assume so.
Yes. There's so much going on. My wife and I moved here about 4 years ago, and we just absolutely fell in love with the city. Even before we didn't even know the plans that were going up and down this area. We just fell in love with it. I just love the amount of people that are here, the different things that people are doing, and I just love the sense of community. Even though it is a pretty large town, the sense of community is really cool in Hilliard. So that's kind of the purpose and point of this podcast, and I think it'll be fun to be able to bring these different people in and kind of educate you guys about different things. And of course, we're going to talk about coffee.
Of course, as our set entails having our wonderful various forms sitting in front of us, anything from the V60 pour-over, espresso shots, to your personal Chemex, which we will be very careful with.
Please don't break that. That is, I'm surprised the thing hasn't broken yet.
I still have... There it is. See, I was a former carpenter in theater, so if I do that, actually bad things tend to happen.
So don't knock on the wood there. Then that'd be great to do. So what I thought would be really neat right now to do is kind of just... actually, we ran into someone today. We had a ice cream social. It was like a summer walk type thing. And we had ice cream vendors come out and do different things. And I met someone today in the shop. And this is what I love about our shop. Our shop isn't just like some house that was just like made and built. There's some history that goes along with this shop. And a gentleman came into the store today, and he ordered something to drink. And he said, yeah, my daughter, who's standing right next to him, was actually babysat in this house by one of the sisters that owned it before our landlord, Tom Hurley, he took over. And I just love the different history that this house provides. Had an older couple came in, and they remember when they were a kid that this house was a ration house for the war. So they remember coming to this house, getting their stuff, because they had to portion things out because the war was so incredibly financially so focused. You needed to portion things out. So that was a pretty cool. So we keep getting cool little stories about this house.
And one of our little, I guess, odds and ends that actually exist in the house as kind of a decoration is a small little 5x7 picture that is actually the house from way back when, before any business took over. Yep. So hopefully soon enough I will be excited to be having the updated picture of us now right side by side.
That would be really cool. That would be really cool
to have there.
And I was neat too. On one of our Facebook feeds, I have to find it somewhere and send it to you. Maybe you can put maybe a couple different things together. But an old customer of ours, someone, it was either his father or his uncle, something like that, took a picture of him and his brother in front of the house when Old Hilliard was Old Hilliard with certain homes before it's all spaced out now. And it's an old black and white photo with him and his brother staying side by side right in front of the house. I just love the house feel of it. I love that when people walk in, they feel home, they feel peaceful, they feel like I can relax here. I just love the history of this home. It's really cool. It really makes Coffee Connections like about connecting.
All right. Now we covered kind of our main house, our main shop that is here, but there's one other thing that, funny enough, few people actually understand is part of the shop, and that's this back building, the space we're filming in right now, actually, which is home to event after event after event, whatever we come up with here at the shop, or if people have their own personal things. For example, personally, me, Tarek back behind the camera, and our friends were all kind of major nerds. We're like old school tabletop days of Dungeons and Dragons.
I love. What is the definition of a major nerd? Please tell me.
I imagine that a nerd is like superheroes and that stuff.
Yeah,
I think that cool. When you hit the major level, that's when you start going to like tabletop RPGs and comic book collecting and basically all the things that a nerd would do from when you were a kid.
Got it perfectly. Hey, what'd you say? I'm old?
No.
Yeah, he just did. He just did.
It's a different
I am
time.
old. It's okay. It's okay. I'm not terribly old.
But yeah, it can be anything ranging from a gallery night, which I personally hosted here. It didn't end up being in this building, but in the shop. So displays for local talent, or to just private fun things like Dungeons and Dragons, or for the public, your Brewmasters class coming up here. So
and July 29th, what I'm trying to do is kind of create more of an awareness of coffee. So I do a coffee tasting class every once in a while. And the next one I love doing and I'm experimenting with is a brew methods class. I did one a couple months ago. It's a very small class, so I can't have like 9 people like I do in a coffee tasting class. We have like a coffee flight. It's lots of fun. But this one's a little bit more small. It's just like 4 to 5 people max, because what happens is I teach them how to use that method to brew coffee. And so this month, what I'm going to be using is this V60, or what we call pour over. And this is one of my favorite methods to brew coffee with. When my wife and I started this coffee journey, we went to a couple different places in the city. And the only thing I knew of coffee was just like, press a button at home and boom, there goes coffee. I knew nothing.
Or you put a little plastic cup in.
Yeah.
That was my thinking up until about a month and a half ago.
You're welcome.
Once starting, yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
Once starting working here in my own personal V60, this isn't it. Mine's much smaller with a little black detail, which you'll come to learn the more you see. Tends to be part of my color pattern pretty much all the time. But
yes.
It's
so the
fine.
V60 was like one of those methods that I was like, what is this? And the person who did the coffee brought me over and literally walked me through what a V60 was, what this pour over was, which is basically the part of our logo. If you look at the Coffee Connections logos, there's a triangle and a drip mark underneath it. My brother-in-law, Matt Constance, created that because he realized how important we were using the V60. Even when I had my coffee bike, that's all I used. So the V60 brings out a really nice flavor within your coffee as you're brewing it. What I like about it is it takes about 1.5 to 2 minutes to brew, so it's perfect time to communicate with people. So you can build a relationship, ask questions. Tark has a question.
I have a question, teacher.
Master, that would be...
Master.
No, I'm joking.
So are you coffee sensei? Is that the official title?
No, I'm not. I have to go to the mountain in order to be a sensei.
Okay,
I'm not there. I'm still at the base.
What the forbidden being.
Yes, exactly.
What does the 60 stand for?
That's a great question. I have no idea. I don't even know what the V stands for. I don't know. This particular motto is a Hario size number 2. Hario is the company name. I could even be saying that wrong too. They have a size 1, 2, and 3 kind of device here. And this is the 2 one. But what people get when they pay for the class is they'll actually get a ceramic one of these. They'll get a handful of filters and they get whatever bag of beans they would like. And then slowly I will teach them. I'll show them what to do, and then I'll personally walk them through how to do their own pour over. So that way when they go home, they know what they're doing.
The beans, I think it's a fair time after talking about pour-overs to kind of segue into our wonderful featured bean this month, which being the Bali Blue, which every one of us here in this room working on this podcast has tried and fallen in love with because it is amazing.
It is really good. It was one of the first beans that my friend Tim and I roasted together in my house. I'll give a little bit more update on Tim as podcasts go on, and my hope is, I know he'll do it, is come here. He'd totally liven it up. He's awesome, funny, weird. It's wonderful. But when we roasted in my house, it was one of the first beans we roasted, and I just absolutely fell in love with that Bali. Yeah. It's beautiful. It's sweet. It's fruity.
To kind of give an idea for when Tim does eventually come here, which he will.
Oh, he will.
Not only a couple days ago, being in the shop, the perfect example of what Nate you claim would be his humor type is my mistake of looking at our decaf beans and being like, oh, that's a great name. You guys called it the Decaf Mafia when it actually meant to say Maya but
Decaf.
Quite personally, I think Decaf Mafia sounds better.
Decaf
I'm
Mafia.
sure Tim would agree.
Tim would totally agree with that. He'd be like high-fiving you, giving you hugs, that sort of thing. Yeah, so that's one of the things that are coming up. So that's kind of what this podcast is going to be. Explain different events, explain why there would be an opportunity for you to show up. And kind of what's great about the Brew Methods class or any other thing that we offer here is you're going to be connecting with different people, which is our heart. So we can build community together. It doesn't matter what your difference is, what you believe, how you decide to live your life. We're all human beings, and we all desire relationship and connection. And so why don't we create that spot here in a completely neutral ground in many different ways possible so we can better our community together instead of being separate.
And more importantly, so as all being human beings and all being human adults, we all come together over coffee of all things.
And even if you don't like coffee, just the idea that you're in a coffee shop, you just think you're cool. My wife, Sharon, just now is starting to get into coffee, but she will not drink black coffee. It has to be sugared mocha, something like that.
Know.
But even
candied.
Yeah, exactly. Candied. Very, very good point. I call it abuse, but whatever. That's
abuse candied. Same thing.
Abuse.
I am guilty of admitting that was me at one point.
It's okay. I like an occasional black and white mocha.
Oh, it was much worse than just a simple mocha.
Oh,
we're talking.
This is like 3 times more than it should be. It's so good.
We're talking like full out.
Oh,
like it's made with sugar.
It is pure sugar.
It is pure sugar.
It's so good. Let's just say my father-in-law, who hates coffee, who only drinks hot chocolate when he goes to a coffee shop, he actually drank this, which is impressive for my father-in-law. But those are the things that we want to be able to do here and able to show you, teach you, that sort of thing.
Ooh, that was a good clap.
That was wonderful. Good job.
Nice
I should clap for you for that good clap. Good job. So we're going to do some interviews with people. And so right now I'm going to switch it to my man, Kyler, over here. Yeah. And so Kyler, when you would come into the shop often, and the one thing that impressed me all the time about you is that you would be at least a half hour early before you had to go to your shift. And I thought that was great about you, that you were very responsible, very you see the need, you actually take care of it. And so when I was talking about the podcast and trying to figure this out, you said you and Tark had experience in doing it. So why don't you share with everyone where you got that experience from and what you're hoping to do with that experience?
Well, in terms of an actual podcast setting, I have absolutely no experience whatsoever. But in terms of being behind a camera, whether it be picture, video lens, or anything like that.
Because you have your own photography thing that you're starting off with,
I do.
Right?
Did D20 Photography on Instagram. Check it out. Shameless plug right here.
D20?
Yes, D20. D20 _ photography.
D20 _ photography. That should be flashing on the screen or something like that. That's what that should be.
I'll put a plug.
Yeah, just do
I'll
that.
link the page.
It
should
be like all
that.
over the
put
place.
It in the description.
Right? Here.
But in short, it was sophomore year of high school for me. So, what, 2012? 2013, I think. It's something like that.
2013.
I don't know.
I was 26.
I can't remember. But every sophomore in Hilliard State Schools gets the option of going and touring tolls, which is a technical school out in Plain City. A lot of great people. I have friends that have gone through cosmetology that end up coming out with their license and things like that. And for the longest time, I thought that was going to be my kind of path, so to speak, until I learned about what's known as the ILC, or Innovative Learning
Phenomenal
Center here in Hilliard.
place.
Now, this is not an average school setting building. You've been there presenting many times, speaking, helping the business students. It is a pretty much class setting for whatever you want to do. So, for example, for me, I went into what was known as Academy Vibe, which was music recording, video recording, working on a full soundboard, crazy stuff that you would assume at that age you'd never get to touch or really be up close and personal with. And that's kind of the path I walked down compared to going to Tolles instead, because that had more of my interest, being a theater kid, a techie at heart all through high school. And as it went on, the second year of its existence, which was my senior year, was kind of, for us, it was called the studio course, and it was pretty much go for what you want to do. And that's where I started video recording and being behind the camera and learning all those different techniques, which I've adapted not only to video now, working with the podcast, but photography as well, which is where I kind of learned. I never went through an actual photography course or a set video course. I just had a really, really darn good teacher, Mr. Trevor Torrance. I'm sure eventually I'll find a way to get him on here, because this is right up his alley.
Now, let me tell you about Trevor. This was cool. The ILC earlier this year had my wife and I come in and give us a little tour of the ILC, and we've done a couple of things. We did a mock business interview with some students, which was pretty crazy intense. I just have to say, these kids at the ILC will change the world. I mean, I was not thinking on the same caliber they were at 17. I tell you that right now. They are. I mean, they come in and present their business plan, what they want to do. I'm like, I'm done. I was like, I'm done. You can have everything. I mean, you got a great plan. But one of the things that was really cool is at the end of it, they brought us upstairs and they had all the faculty at the ILC there, and they just gave us a great thank you award, just saying thank you for investing in our students, because we've had some of the students here doing some filming, and we just keep trying to encourage them and saying you need a space to record. Got a space to record. You want something outside, some real practical experience. We're hands let's do it together. Whatever we can do to make students better in real life. With real life things that are going on, let's partner and do it together, because that's education. Is let's do it. Put what you're learning into practice so you can grow and be better faster. And so one of the guys, so after they presented the award and that sort of thing, I shared a little bit. And I was like, I just want to say thank you for everything you guys did, because I hired one of your students, and because of the things you were putting into these students, I'm like, he was the moment he came in, I knew there was something special about him, because the way he carried himself, the way he talked, the way you did things. I was like, the ILC, I know, blush, it's okay. The ILC did something to you and made me as a business owner want to hire you, and because I knew you could add value to us easily, because I didn't have to hold your hand and train you. It's you get it. And so I had one guy ask me, he was like, who is it? And I was like, oh, it's Kyler. And yeah, it's Kevin. He was like, I know Kyler. Yep. And so, sounds big high five, tall, he was phenomenal. And thank you that's great. So you went to the ILC and that sort of thing. So then how else did you learn to develop this stuff?
Well, when I first started ILC, I wanted to try and be Mr. Rockstar, Mr. in front of the microphone, band backing me, all that kind of stuff. And quickly, but stubbornly learned it was not necessarily for me. I remember I hear stories all the time from my mom, how she talks about she'd go to a parent-teacher conference, and they'd be talking, and both Trevor Torrance and Sean Malone, who was one of the other teachers when I was there, I believe he moved on to a different class now, both would look at her and just be like, I don't know why he's attempting to try and be in front of the spotlight so much. And little did I realize that kind of behind the scenes was more of a natural fit for me, editing things together, helping record audio and stuff, helping all the other students in the class that were trying to do music videos, and I'm saying, they're like, oh, okay, I'll hop behind the booth for you, no problem. And that's where my passion and my love for doing this kind of thing came from. And I've had a couple opportunities with some people in the past that didn't pan out how I was hoping to, but this is definitely, since being here for the last month and a half, has all but exploded what I was planning to do.
Cool. That's awesome. Yeah, one of the things I loved about what Kyler would say is that he loved to be behind the camera and do the work. And what I like about people that work behind the camera is they have to know what's going on and they have to do it, because a person up front, they only have one job. Just be there, remember their lines, and make sure they move around and that sort of thing. The person behind the camera has got to know everything. Everything. What if this falls? What if this cracks? Tark's laughing. He's like, there what if? Because we're not worried about if someone walks in the door. He is. So.
And I know his worry, because both he and I live by the philosophy in theater that if it weren't for us, the actors are just sitting in a dark room reciting lines without any fancy costume or anything. Not knocking on any actors. I know good ones. I know not so good ones. But
it's knowing your role and your place. And that's what it is. And it's knowing the roles, that everyone is important. It's not just... Normally the people up front are the ones that we see and we like idolize and we'd be like, no, I want to be just like them. But you forget this massive thing that's back there, an old photo that used to go around. I don't know if it's still around. I'm dating myself here. Was an iceberg. And the idea was the top part of the iceberg is the only thing you see is the top part of the iceberg. And then there's a shot underneath the iceberg, and the iceberg underneath is much larger underneath. And basically it was saying, I'm like, you only see the tip of the iceberg. You miss all the stuff that's holding that iceberg up to put that front face on. And it's to value, basically, don't underestimate what's there that no one sees. The leadership skills, the understanding, all that stuff is there. People might only see one aspect of you have this other spot. So that's kind of how I view holistically as far as leadership is concerned. It's like, everyone wants to be up front, but no one wants to be a behind the scenes person. I'm like, but the behind the scenes person is just as important as the person up front. And that's what I liked about Kyler. That's what I liked about what the ILC put it in him to make this stuff happen. It made me as a leader, as a business owner, go, I'm like, hey, you've got the skills because you get what's back here. Now you know what's to do up front, and let's do it. So that way you're not worried about going back behind the camera because you know what to do. And that's what's wonderful. I think that's it.
Yeah.
Wraps up our first podcast, right?
That pretty much sums up the first episode. So, like we said, this is going to be a mixture of a bunch of different things, ranging from, coffee portfolios and tastings. And I'm sure there will be many times where instead of water in our mugs, we have coffee in it.
It's not water. What are you talking about?
Oh,
there's no water here.
Wait, hold on. Was that a secret between us?
Well, not anymore.
We could have gotten
I guess you could always
episodes out of that.
It would have been
That's when we tricked them and put actual coffee in the mugs next time.
Next time we do a whole blue. Oh no! It was real coffee, you idiot! You burned my skin off. Anyways, so we just wanted to do this podcast to kind of create community within our culture that we have here at Coffee Connections and within the city of Hilliard. And we're excited about this. It'll be a learning curve for all three of us as we work together. More on these guys because they're going to have to edit everything. Well, more on him, technically. Then I have to figure out material and how that's going to work. That'll be fun. So,
please, improving's the best way to do
this
a podcast.
Is easy.
I have never made a single video with a script.
Perfect. This is
needless
great.
to say, that got me a couple low grades, though.
Well, we will have a bullet list of things to talk about, and then we'll go from there. So thanks for tuning in. So we're going to try to do this at least once a month. If that goes well, then we'll do twice a month, probably.
Yeah, twice a month. And who knows? Maybe you guys will like listening to us talk back and forth and just mess around and have a good time and kind of update everyone enough that we could be dropping weekly episodes. Anything from that.
Weekly? Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it could go there.
I like the sound of my voice, but I'm not sure if other people like the sound of my voice. We'll find out how that goes. But anyways, thank you. Continue to come to Coffee Connections. Got any questions, always come in and ask. Like Kyler said, we got especially this space in particular. If you're a musician, if you're an artist, if you want to have a party or you want to get a special group of people together, this is the spot to do it because it was designed to have everything move around so you can do whatever you want. So that's what's great about this spot. So don't allow the creativity of what you have die out because you can't find the spot. This is why we have this spot, so that way that creativity can flow and we can really impact our community together. So continue to do it.
Early on days of being just a detached garage to now borderline recording studio.
Well, there we go. Next week. All right, until next time. See you later.